Can you tell us a little bit about how you collaborate with general education teachers, therapists, parents, all to ensure that a student's needs are met?
As the instructional coach, that's really a big part of what I do is work with the teams and with on IEPs. So without collaboration, you don't have an IEP. You can't have a legal IEP without that collaboration. So if I'm writing an IEP for whatever reason, if we have a teacher that's out and they need support with case management, I take that on in my role. You have to collaborate. So one of the things that I do is email or meet with the gen ed teacher and ask about their thoughts on the student's strengths and weaknesses. I make sure to have phone calls with the parents if I can, if not via email, the same thing. And then with the therapist, the same thing. A lot of time, like right now, I'm working on a triennial and annual IEP for a student. We're holding it on Monday. And there are a lot of goals that myself and the SLP, the speech and language pathologist, can collaborate on. That one goal can be practiced and serviced in two different settings and increase the odds that that goal is met. So if a student, for example, needs to learn how to lower the volume of their voice, not uncommon for students with autism to learn how to modulate that volume, we can practice that in the speech room and also in the classroom and in their gen ed setting when they go into that. And that's where you get that collaboration as an example. So the SLP, the special ed teacher, and the gen ed teacher are all using the same cues. The parents can also use that cue at home to help their student, for example, modulate their volume or practice whatever it is that they need to work on. It could be an academic skill, a physical skill, a speech and language skill. But without collaboration, the IEP doesn't, it's not a IEP under IDEA, right? You've got to have that collaboration. With students who receive outside services, in my district anyway, our teams are really open to collaborating. So some students get speech and language services in school, and they also get speech and language services outside of school. We want to communicate with that therapist so that we can be working on similar things. Or again, a student with autism who may be receiving ABA services at home, we want to know what they're working on so we can use the same language. And we should be working on similar things. If the student needs to work on whatever it is, they don't only need to work on that at school or only need to work at that at home. If it's part of their disability, it goes with them everywhere, right? All of our suitcases go with us wherever we go. So we try to work as much as we can with the therapist, both inside of school and outside of school. It's just, when you don't have that collaboration, you don't have the spirit of what an IEP is meant to do.
Do you have any suggestions or advice to give to parents when they feel like there's not that collaboration there, that maybe either their voice isn't being heard or maybe the child service provider's voice is not being heard? Like, what could they do when they're in a situation where they just feel like no one's listening?
First, that has to be so hard, right? It's hard. One of the best pieces of advice I have is to, from the beginning, before you even get to that point, everybody should come to the table with an open heart and an open spirit. I think a lot of parents, some parents, but also some service providers come to the table already burnt out, already tired. And I think everybody, when we come together in the right spirit, I think we want to start on the right foot. So I think that when anybody comes in, if you come in like a wrecking ball, it's going to look that way. So I think everybody, parents, teachers, service providers, admins, everybody needs to come in with the right frame of mind and come in with that open, positive attitude. But if parents ever do feel that way, I think it's important to keep that line of communication open and be open about having those tough, difficult conversations. It's hard as a parent to hear that your child has done this, or your child has done that, or your child can't do this, or your child can't do that. That wears on your heart and soul. That is really, really hard. And If the same question was asked to me about teachers, I would say teachers and service providers need to frame things in a positive way. But I think that parents, when you do come to that situation, open a line of communication and have that dialogue. If you need to have it within the confines of an IEP meeting, do that. If you want to just have an open, honest conversation that's not within an IEP, do that. But I think that it's important to have that communication. If something is bothering you, don't sit on it. Keep that communication open. I'm bothered by this. Don't wait until you feel that you need to get an advocate and a lawyer involved to bring a problem to the teacher or to the team. When you start feeling that, that niggling feeling that something isn't right, keep that line of communication open. I mean, I think that would be true for anybody on the team, right? If a teacher feels that something isn't working, I would ask them, what has the parent said? You know, so-and-so is regressing in this. Well, when you talk to the parent, what did the parent say? Because maybe something has changed at home. And speaking of that, if something does change at home, let the teacher know. Because something is happening at home, it's going to manifest itself in school in some way. So if something is changing at home, even if it's something that you think is small, we just rescued a new dog. So-and-so, my child may talk about it or may be upset or may whatever. Things that we think don't matter really can matter. So it's important to just communicate all the time.
So when it comes to like teachers, do you have a lot of staff that come to you and say like, admin aren't hearing me, or I'm not being heard, or this child needs these supports and they're not getting them? Like, what can I do?
I think everybody feels that way all the time, right? Because it's hard, right? And everybody that's in the school system starts from a place of their cup is already full. They're already overflowing with stress, right? Teachers' caseloads are too big. Their case management load, right? Special ed teachers have 2 full-time jobs, all day teaching and then the case management that comes after it. But they're expected to do it all simultaneously. It's wild. And then our school psychs have too big of caseloads, and our everybody has too much. So yeah, it is a concern. And sometimes for teachers, it's hard to hear when we say try this or try that, or what have you tried. Sometimes it can feel like you're being attacked. And that's usually, not always, that's usually not the case. Usually a BCBA, for example, may be trying to elicit an understanding of why a behavior may be happening in the classroom, and they need to know these things. But yeah, there's not enough money, there's not enough support. Everyone has too much. You know, in my district, we have classrooms that don't have teachers. You know, we can't fill all of our positions. So we have to it's very difficult, and it's everywhere. Post-COVID world is a whole different animal. So I think a lot of it's a very difficult job. Being a mom of a child with a disability is a very difficult job. Loving and teaching these kiddos is a very difficult job. And being an outside service provider, speech, OT, PT, that's a very difficult job. Your child is your number one, but a teacher might have 10 or 13 number ones. And it's just very, very difficult. So I think there is a way for us to support our staff, special ed teachers and service providers, in a different way. The model is broken, right? Working with a broken model and trying to fix everything when it can't be fixed within the model that we have now. And then everybody's now, of course, freaking out, is it going to change? What's going to happen?